Hello, welcome to another weekly reading vlog, y'all. What was I gonna say? I have been I'm cramping so bad. I hate to start off the vlog this way. Well, it's not really the entire vlog starting out this way, but I am in so much pain. But I wanted to do this quick update. I was supposed to do a live show tonight for November book releases, but I postponed it to Sunday because I literally have been like on the couch. Like, it has not been this bad for me in a long time, and so I really I'm about to go take a bath and put on my heating pad because I feel like complete and total trash. But I did want to do some updates since I have not I haven't had the chance to really talk or anything like that. I wanted to give y'all a couple updates on things that are happening, I believe. I'm trying to think. When did I finish this book? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sitting here thinking while I'm on camera. I'm looking at this like, did I talk about this book? Did I finish this book? I think I did. Yeah, maybe? Did I finish this book before the other vlog ended? Okay. Let's hope that I actually talked about this book, or maybe I didn't. We're just gonna cover it, and if I covered it in the last vlog, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay, so there are a few things that I have not talked about that I have read, have been reading, I have been listening to. So the first one we do have here, yikes, which this bookmark is no longer relevant. I did end up finishing Before the Devil Breaks You. I don't think I'm trying to think of whether no, I didn't. I wouldn't have finished this. I finished this the next day. That's what I was thinking, like, when did I finish this? Because I remember listening to this on when I had patron sprints, and so it wouldn't have been in last week's vlog because I was uploading last week. Okay. I had to do the mental gymnastics. I finished this, okay? I finished this beast of a book. And I finished it so quickly because it was so good. This is my favorite book in the series, hands down. Favorite book in the series, and I was thinking Layer of Dreams was, but Before the Devil Breaks You is my favorite in the series because, let me tell you, all right? Libra Bray hurt my feelings with this book. There was so much emotion. I literally finished this thing at my desk and I had to walk away because I was like, I am gonna cry. I'm going to fall apart. And I teared up because I had forgotten. This was my first time rereading this. And I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry so bad. I just wanted to cry so bad because this is just depressing. I am ready to start King of Crows. I'm trying to be nice and wait on Alana and Robin. Robin just finished. So I'm trying to be nice and wait on Alana, but I'm finna start the book. I'm sorry. The more that I look like at that book and knowing that like what I know from this book, I'm finna start it. Like, I can't. I also ended up finishing the many meanings of Meilan, which was so good, but also very heartbreaking in the sense that, you know, we're following this main character and she's a storyteller. So me as a librarian, oral storytelling, like, love it. I mean, I think being a librarian and oral storytelling, and then also being Black, like, cultural wise, like, storytelling is a huge thing. So I liked that she was just very into storytelling, but she told a story one day that led to a division in the family. And her mom, her dad, and her grandfather end up moving from Boston to Ohio. And this is all in the process of them grieving the loss of the grandmother. And when she gets to Ohio, she's in an area that is predominantly white. I mean, like, down but like a sprinkle of melanin in there. And she faces so much direct racism and microaggressions to the point that it's just like, as a parent, I got frustrated on her behalf. And it wasn't just coming from the students, it was also coming from staff members, from educators, from the principal. And I think that what Andrea Wong was trying to do with this story specifically is that there sometimes is not a perfect resolution. And in a situation like that, where you have a system already in place, there was never going to be a resolution, in the sense that no one was ever going to be held accountable for their actions. That's facts. It just wasn't going to happen, and that is a harsh, sucky reality that we have to take into consideration sometimes. And it's one that I had to think about in here, because there are no repercussions for people's actions. But I think it's a good story. It's good in the way that Wong redirects your energy to supporting Meilan and her being able to find her voice and find comfort in her identity. You know, instead of making herself invisible and saying that she's Melanie to make her white counterparts feel comfortable, her name is Meilan, and she is Chinese, and she is like, she should be okay with that. It doesn't make her any different from the other kids. Like, she's who she is, and she has to find comfort in that. And I think that Andrea wanted us to be more attached to that than directing our anger towards these characters that we're just never going to change. Because there's going to be people, and I think in our life, that are bigoted. They engage in discriminatory behavior, and they're just never going to change. And there's nothing that we can do about that. And so it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's reality. And so I enjoyed that. I've read a few things from Andrea Wong, but I'm interested now in picking up some of her other stuff. And I believe I don't know if she has another one coming out soon. I feel like she does, but I could be wrong. The next one that I have on my list that I am currently reading is Suddenly a Murder by Lauren Munoz. Sorry, I can't see. Oh my gosh, because the print was like this tiny. Yeah, but I'm reading Suddenly a Murder by Lauren Munoz. It is okay. It's a YA debut thriller that is about these group of friends that go to this manor to have this big 20s theme party, dressing up. But someone who's at the dinner dies. And it's interesting because one of the primary characters that we're seeing everything through brought a knife to the event. And so it's kind of like, did she do it or not? And her name is Izzy. So we're trying to figure out, like, did she do it or not? I think that it's scandalous. It's messy. It is very messy when you figure out, like, some of the connections that the guy that was killed, when you figure out his connections to some of the characters. It's messy. And of course there's an exchange that happens between him and the main character. We don't know what it is yet, but there's something about it that makes her feel vindicated in his death, almost that she's happy that he's gone, and so she doesn't have to deal with something that he did. And so that's kind of the build-up that we're waiting for. I'm trying to find the right words here. Lauren has very interesting style in writing, and she's doing something that I don't know if I like it or not. So this book is told in a variety of different perspectives, right? I don't think we get, I'm trying to figure out in my head now, do we get everybody's perspective? We may, in just like small little tidbits. So she's writing from both the past and the present, what's jarring, I think, sometimes is that, and I mean, it's not that it, I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense or not, because I think I'm still trying to process it, and I can tell you how far I am in the book, which is only like 20 something percent, I think. 36. Oh. I'm further than what I thought. Okay, so I'm 36% in, which means I probably will finish this one tomorrow. So what I was saying is that when she's in the present, she writes first person narrative. And so it's jarring to hear that, and then when she switches to the past, she writes in third person narrative. So you're going from I to she. So it's almost like I feel like I'm kind of getting pulled out of the narrative a little bit. It's almost like when in the first person narrative, I feel like I am in the story. And then when it's the past and it's he, she, I don't know if she was trying to create this feeling of you're removed because you're going back and you're watching things replay from the past. And so she doesn't want you to have that inner feeling and being a part of the story itself. And she wants you to have that awkward feeling of like being kind of like on the outside watching in instead of being on the inside, like being able to look out around you. I don't know if that was her intention, but the switching is what can throw you off, because if you're starting to get used to one specific tense and one specific type of narrative, to switch to a new narrative is kind of like, you know, third person. You go from first person to third person, and this can be, you know, sometimes an alternating chapter or a couple of chapters in the past and a couple of chapters. So it's taking a while for my brain to kind of grasp what is going on. I think when I figured out that that was the shift that kept happening and that was what was throwing me off from the story, it became a lot easier to kind of tune my mind to what she was doing. Like now, as soon as I get to a part that's like 3 months ago, you know, 5 weeks or whatever the timeline is, I know automatically, okay, mentally shift my head into gear for the narrative change, the person POV that we're getting here. It's unique. I don't know if I've read a book that's done that before, and so I think getting that now, I'm just kind of like, oh, that's kind of, you know, it's not weird, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, so that is what I'm reading right now. I did read a little bit more Eagle Drums. I am 38% into this one. I don't have much time, I think, left on this one because I think somebody wants it. So I may finish it before I go back to Suddenly a Murder. I don't know, but I'm going to be flip-flopping in between those two. I have some picture books here, a whole stack that I need to read that I haven't gotten to yet. I'm going to go through these really quickly. I'm hoping actually just to read through these very quickly this evening. It's not a lot. Maybe just spend a little bit of time and then returning them tomorrow and getting a new set of books to check out. But I do have, for Native American Heritage Month, Eagle Drums. It's a good selection as well. Contenders by Tracy Sorrell. I've read quite a few of her books. Benito Juarez Fights for Justice. Just with everything going on right now, this is a great nonfiction. This is a biographical. It is Nonfiction November. This is a biographical account of Benito Juarez, who eventually becomes president of Mexico. And then I have Scroll. Then I have Grandpa and the Kingfisher, which I grabbed this one primarily for the artwork. I don't know how I'm gonna like the storytelling. I got another nonfiction that I thought was going to be good, and it's You Gotta Meet Mr. Pierce. This is a biography about the folk artist Elijah Pierce. So that cover. And then I randomly grabbed this one. I'm not even sure what this one is about. I think it's a space issue in terms of like living quarters. So there's always room for one more. I love the artwork on that one as well. I was very excited when I saw that this one was coming out because I thought the artwork was going to be beautiful, and it is. And that is Dim Sum Palace. I have to show y'all some of the artwork in here. This artwork is beautiful. Absolutely, positively just gorgeous. That is beautiful artwork, y'all. That's beautiful. And then I got two, let's do this one first. Bangra Baby. It's one that I thought just colorful. It's just a pretty book. And then I got two picture books that are by Palestinian authors and are both about just experiences. So this one is a more recent one, which is these olive trees. This one literally just recently released, and I believe I talked about this one on my Instagram page, but it is one that I am very excited to pick up. And then this one did release this year, but it released earlier this year, and it's called Homeland. My Father Dreams of Palestine, and this one is a nonfiction. So the other one is a fictional book, but this one is an informational picture book, which would make it nonfiction. And I am just excited to pick it up. I am. Artwork is very different than what I'm used to, but I think the storytelling is going to be great. So I have those two. Alright, y'all, that is it. I need to get on a heating pad. I feel miserable. I do. I feel miserable. And I don't ever feel like this, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna go ahead and, yeah, I'm not feeling hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a bath and relax and get on my heating pad. And oh, I probably should have said this. This is the longest intro ever because I haven't updated all week. This is what happens when you don't update all week. You end up like talking for forever. I'm going out of town this weekend. Yallfest is this weekend. I'm really going down there just to see Chanel. Like, I was not satisfied with Yallfest last year at all. I was not satisfied with Yallfest at all last year. But it's just convenient for me. Like, it's not a big deal for me to ever attend and just go and be social for a little while. So that's probably what I'll end up doing, is just being social for a little while. I don't think I plan on getting anything signed. I don't think I do. I don't think like my intention is to get anything signed. So, but yeah, I will be there, perusing, walking around, socializing a little bit, I guess. But that'll be it, y'all. I will check in later. This is a ridiculous check-in. Like, oh my gosh. All right, I'll check in later. Good morning. Welcome to whatever this weekend is. It's Saturday and I am not at home. I'm at my parents', visiting them just for the weekend. And I am supposed to be heading to Yall Fest for a little while today. Not a lot. I was extremely disappointed by Yallfest last year, and so I'm not anticipating like wanting to be there for very long. I'm not just, a couple of hours type of situation and be done with it. So that's pretty much it. But I did want to give an update on like how my reading has been, which it feels like my reading has been non-existent, which is not true, but it feels true because of like, I think once again, work week, busy type of situation. But I did end up finishing Suddenly a Murder, and I'm very conflicted on how I want to actually end up reviewing this one. It's a couple of reasons why I feel conflicted on how I want to review this, because of the fact that I think that the storytelling was really, really good at the end, but I think there was a little bit of mixed messaging in terms of the reveal of who, not necessarily who killed the character that dies in it, because I think I kind of picked up on that, but there was a side kind of plot going on that basically it elevated the stakes for our main character, Izzy. And I think that Izzy was trying to do the right thing, but it felt like a tinge of victim blaming. I don't, it's kind of hard because I think we had two contrasting type of things going on here, where we had Izzy, who was trying to hold a character responsible for their actions, and then we have another character that was technically holding a minor responsible for some actions. It's kind of hard to talk about without really spoiling a lot of what has been going on between the characters. It's very hard to talk about, but I think I'm going to go for a 3.5. I actually thought that the author did bring it back. Lauren, she brought it back together. I think at the end it definitely felt more fast-paced. I think that we were seeing a lot more interesting elements, and I ended up growing accustomed to what the author was specifically talking about or I got adjusted to what the author was attempting to do with the change in the narratives. And when I say change in narratives, I mean what I was talking about, like the shift from a first-person narrative to third-person narrative, and kind of the artistic choice that she made with that. So it was a pretty good read. It's nice to see more diverse YA thrillers being put out there. Not that they don't exist, but it's nice to see more being added to the to the rotation. So that's always a positive. I definitely will check out some of her stuff in the future if she continues to produce YA thrillers and stuff. So yeah, I haven't really I've been sharing more, I think, on my Instagram than on here about what's the genocide that's currently happening in Palestine. And there's no specific reason for that. I think that it is quicker in sharing information over there. Like I just try to share as much as I can and stay aware. And I've talked about it a little bit, but not in depth. And last night, I just spent a lot of time just reading and immersing myself in what has been happening over the past couple of days. And it's heartbreaking, y'all. I don't think I have the words to really explain or even begin to shed light on the horrific behavior that is currently going on. So I do want to make a note here and say that I am going to provide some sources and some information for you to check out down below, because I just can't believe that we are not at a ceasefire. I can't believe that Um, I can't believe that Biden said that there's no chance of a ceasefire. It brings chills to my body, and I am utterly and totally disgusted and heartbroken, and I don't know how anybody couldn't be. I think, like, enough. It's we're at close to 11,000, if not over 11,000 Palestinians dead. Enough is enough. That's I think I get frustrated because outside of me contacting my representatives, outside of me sharing things on social media, I feel so helpless. And I'm not saying this to center myself here, but it feels so, it's like you want the power to be able to stop what's going on, but it sucks that you can't just snap your fingers and say, you gotta stop. As the world just stands by and watches this happen. I don't know. I think this has been a while since I've been just so lost for words, and I think as a person too, you just kind of deal with this guilt of, I get to, as a parent, I feel guilt. I feel an immense amount of guilt being able to hold my child every night, to love on my child every night, to know that my child is safe every night. I feel so guilty, because there are moms out there who can't. Palestinian moms who can't do that right now, who've lost their children, and so it sucks. I don't know. So, I'm going to keep reading and keep educating myself. I'm going to keep learning, keep sharing, keep talking. There's no fatigue. I don't have the luxury of checking out. I don't have the luxury of not using my platform to continue to talk about it, because that's what they want us to do. And it's so easy, y'all. I felt myself slipping myself, I felt myself slipping because it's easy to get into this attitude that it's too much. It's just overwhelming. It's mentally, it's just seeing that those images, hearing those cries of anguish, seeing the bombs being dropped, you just feel like you want to turn it off. But how dare I even have a thought like that, because they don't get to turn it off. They don't get to just turn away and just rest and wake up and everything is normal. So it's it's tough finding that balance of also making sure that those of us who are very, very sensitive to that stuff, making sure that you do check in with yourself. You do have to check in with yourself, because you can't pour into anyone if you're not taking care of yourself. But I think that it's easy to get into that state of I'm just going to stop talking about it. I'm going to stop sharing, and life will go back to normal. And I can't do that because I got so angry at the booktube community for doing that to us post 2020. Everybody was about the Black community 2020, George Floyd's murder. But after that, 6 months after that, it was, well, my life is still normal, so I'm going to go back to doing what I typically do. And I can't be that person. I can't be the person that I I have so much. So yeah, actually, this is probably awkward. I don't know if I'm at the same angle. I actually had a phone call come through while I was filming that last clip. But I'm currently listening to the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. Not far into it. I just started listening to it. It's actually a great opportunity to read this, considering that it is nonfiction November. I probably will try to make it through that. Before the weekend ends, I'm gonna go downstairs, probably grab some breakfast, and head out in a little while. I'm not really in a rush. It's cold, it's rainy, it's wet. I'm not particularly excited about any of this, but all right, y'all. I will do a check-in sometime later.
Loved. Adobe loved it. Hi, I'm Abdi Nazemian. My most recent book is called Only This Beautiful Moment. It's a multi-generational story about 3 generations of Iranian men in the same family. It takes place in Los Angeles and Tehran in the 1930s, 1970s, and present day. So if multi-gen immigrant stories are your thing, pick it up. A book I loved recently, you know, I just got back from Brazil for book stuff, and it was so inspiring, and Brazilians are so welcoming of authors from America, and I feel like we in the YA space don't.
What is this place? This is Camp Half-Life. Fascinating what? I think you know.
Hey y'all, checking in and doing another update because I feel like I have so much to update on. I don't have anything here sitting. Let me get it and get it. I always do this when I'm like, I don't feel like getting up, but I don't feel like adding the pictures in when I edit. Ugh. I'm not gonna do a long update. I think I'm gonna save some of my review stuff for tomorrow because I don't feel good. I went to I've seen the Bureau footage of going to Yall Fest, which actually was better than last year. They had a banned books panel that was great. It was good. It was much better than the banned books panel from last year. I really enjoyed the banned books panel this year. And SmackDown was much better. Saman Shanani was hosting it again this year, or hosting it back this year, because Nick Stone did it last year. It wasn't good. But Saman Shanani was back this year hosting it, and it was really fun. And I got to meet some amazing humans and link up with some just amazing friends again. So it was nice. However, it was cold, it was raining, and while we were having fun, we forgot our umbrellas in the car, and so we were standing in the rain, and that part of it was not fun. And so on top of like my kiddo being sick, my mom has not been feeling great. Standing in the cold rain and getting wet, I am now feeling like complete trash and garbage, which is why I do not want this to be an excessively long check in. I also just did a live show for November new releases, and that has me tired. So I'm just gonna provide y'all with a very, very quick look at what I've been reading. And I highly doubt I'm going to finish much of anything this evening. Okay, so first things first. I did make progress in my read of the Nancy Drew Diary, Strangers on a Train. I got 115 pages into this, which means I literally only have a very, very small section to read. I may go ahead and knock this one out tonight so I can return it to the library, but I make no promises on that. I started a new middle grade fantasy book, and that is Adia, Kelbara, and the Circle of Shamans by E.C. Hendricks. I'm 25% into this one. This is a interesting, like, magical, not magical boarding, well, there is like a magical boarding school, but not really, and I don't want to spoil it. But so we're following our main character, who does have magical abilities, and she's trying to hide it, and she's trying to take this apprenticeship as being a cook, as being a chef. And so she ends up going to this magical school to be an apprentice, hoping that she could connect with a shaman who can help her remove her powers, because in the beginning of the book there is a earthquake that happens, which is the result, as we know it as readers, is the result of her abilities, and so she's trying to hide them. At this school, it's very interesting because there is this division in like classes, and then also she talks a lot about the division that exists in terms of skin complexion. So more so like colorism, being more light skin is better in the sense that when people look at darker skinned people in this world, which very much so correlates to our world, especially darker skinned girls and women, they often think that they are strong, that they don't need assistance, which is very much so what we see in correlation to, like I said, to our real world. So there's some interesting social commentary there. I am liking the magical boarding school element here. And this interesting history of the emperor, who at this point in the book is coming to visit this magical school. I keep saying that for a reason, because I can't in good faith call it a magical school for a host of different reasons, but I am enjoying it. I did start my read, as I stated before, checking in, just reminding y'all that we are not going to stop having conversations about Palestine on this channel. I did make it to chapter 3 of the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. I have been listening to this one on 1.5 speed, but I think I'm going to drop it down to 1.25. It's a lot of history to it that I want to make sure I'm following. I did order a copy of The 100 Years War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi. I am going to read that one slowly, but I wanted a physical copy of that one, so that's another one that I'm thinking of picking up for Nonfiction November. That is it for right now, y'all. Like, I don't want to delve into much of anything else, because like I said, I'm not feeling great, and I have a presentation at work tomorrow, and so I'm trying to keep it together the best way that I know how. But I will definitely check in tomorrow at some point to go ahead and close this vlog out. But yeah, I will talk to y'all then, and maybe I'll have my life together. Maybe, just maybe. I think I just ripped my pants. Oh, that is awful. Oh, goodness gracious. Hey, y'all. You're probably like, girl, what happened? Why you didn't get no vlog this week? Actually, I don't know how many of y'all are actually asking why you didn't get a vlog this week. Honestly, I had a lot. Not in a bad way. Well, the time that I'm filming this clip, I am not having a great week. But the reason why the vlog didn't get posted is not because of that. It's actually because of the fact that I had something happen on Monday and I got home super late. Not a bad thing, but I was just to finish editing and getting the vlog up, I just felt like it was just too much. I had just gone live the night before and I just didn't feel like it. I just didn't have the energy. And so whenever I don't have the energy in terms of content, like, I don't force myself to push through, because this is not my job. And even with my job, like, you know, you have to listen to your body at some point. You do have to listen and hear your body out. So I mean, I think I do have a couple of things that I probably should catch you up on in terms of my reading. I haven't been doing a lot of reading. I actually have been working in not necessarily like silence, because I do work in a office space with more people, but I just have been like trying to process so many things, y'all. Just, I think everything that's happening, and I just have wanted to work through some things like mentally in my head, and it's just been a lot. It just genuinely just overall has been a lot. But we can go ahead and do a very quick reading update. I decided to make an adjustment because this is me. I always pivot. Most of you do know well, at the time of seeing this, you will know, because nobody knows, because the vlog didn't go up. You see my headspace is not here, right? You see my headspace is not here. I have been listening to the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, which I got an hour and a half into that. I decided to pause listening to that, not for, well, there is a specific reason. I was going to say no reason in particular. There's a specific reason. I feel like this is one of those reading experiences where I need to do a blended read. And so I'm going to see if I can find a physical copy of that so I can follow along, because I'm hearing the information, but I don't think I am processing the information, which is, it defeats the purpose. So until I can find a physical copy of that book, there are two other books that I decided I was going to pick up instead. I checked out a physical copy of Freedom is a Constant Struggle, and so by Angela Davis, which I will be reading. I plan on checking that out tomorrow. And then I also just recently purchased a copy of the 100 Years War on Palestine. That is one that I do anticipate reading physically. I do want to read that one chapter by chapter, and just take it slowly. And so as I read that, I will be updating you as I finish a chapter, hopefully doing maybe a chapter a day. But I will not be picking that book up until I probably Saturday. I'm thinking about, like, when am I gonna pick this up? Probably on Saturday is when I'm gonna actually pick up that book. I did end up my phone. So we ended up reading, because I was typing in Those Olive Trees. The title of the book is These Olive Trees, and this is by Aya Ganame, a Palestinian family story. So this is actually about her grandmother's experience of going through Nakba in 1948. And so she frames it as her grandmother being a little girl and just noticing all of the olive trees and how much they play a role, like, in her family, and just talking about, like, the bitterness of the olives, you know, when you pick them off the olive tree, like, as soon as they are, you know, ripe enough, but understanding, like, all of the many ways that olive trees are important to Palestinian people. And she kind kind of illustrates, not directly like talks about Nakba, but you know that it's happening just in context of her grandmother having to leave the olive trees behind, and knowing that maybe one day in the future they could return. She plants an olive tree, and she uses a seed to plant an olive tree in the refugee camp where they are, and makes the statement basically like, one day we could come back and see that this has like developed into a full olive tree, which is, I think, devastating for me just reading that, because this book was published prior to what we're currently seeing happen to Palestinians in Gaza. And I read this with my little one, and I know like I've talked about this earlier in this vlog, but I just can't. She doesn't understand. She's not old enough to understand. She has no context for it. But I always say, like, once again, like, these are people with lives. And I just can't, I don't know how anyone is justifying anything right now, or like explaining anything. What I just can't. And so I always am a firm believer that like picture books build empathy. They help us see the humanity in others. And even though my daughter is like not old enough to even understand like remotely what's happening right now, I want her to see people who are different from her in the pages of books in positive ways. That way she has that humanity. She has that human interaction with people. And I get emotional about this, not to center myself, but because I just get so fearful of, like, especially here in the US, how many kids are being raised without like a sense of humanity. And it's not their fault, unfortunately, but like I just feel like so many people have lost their humanity, and I don't know what it is. And I just don't want my kid to grow up and be that person. I don't want her to look at someone who's different from her and to see people who are different from her just being brutally massacred and just not care, or can justify thousands and thousands of people just being murdered. The amount of times that I've seen people say like, oh, this is the product of war, it's just like, I would not want to be in that position where like people just don't care. And so reading this book with her, I didn't get emotional with her, I think, when I read the book, but I think like after, like I took some time to like really think about, like, you know, you selected this book to read like with intention and with purpose. And you know, it's different when like I read it by myself, which I had, but I think like reading it with her, it just kind of, you know, the innocence that she has, I know that I can't maintain that innocence forever. The world won't allow her to have that innocence for forever. But I just want to do the right thing as a parent while, you know, she's still under my care. She'll always be under my care, but like she's under my roof, while I can still shape and mold her into an empathetic and caring person that cares about the lives of other people. I don't have the words. I don't have the words, but I think that reading that to her and understand, like trying to understand like what I'm attempting to do, I think just got me a little on the emotional side, because, you know, I'm just hoping that I'm doing the right thing. I really do. I hope that I'm doing the right thing, and I hope that, you know, she understands that no matter what someone looks like with their faith is, their cultural practices, like you treat them with human decency, you know. And so that was, you know, it was tough, because I just think like in the context of this book, like to think that her grandmother was just hoping that maybe one day, you know, she could go back. And then to know like literally this book was published this year, And so to know that like months after its publication, like this is where we are, like that is devastating. It's very, very devastating. So, but yeah, we did end up reading that together. I've finished a couple of other things in the meantime. I ended up reading this book, which was not good. I ended up finishing Strangers on a Train. This is the second book in the Nancy Drew Diary series. I have been slowly reading my way through this series. It's just not the best reading experience. This one was better than the first one. I think that the writing was a little bit better, but the mystery still doesn't make sense. I'm still confused about how we got to the conclusion of this one, because there were just no defining like characteristics about the story that would have gotten us from point A to point B. Like that first part of the solving of the mystery didn't make sense, and once again Nancy doesn't technically solve it, so that was weird. And the second part, there were clues, but there were so many clues that the second part of the mystery was very, very obvious. I'm also just genuinely confused about the age of these characters, because we find out in this book that Nancy has a boyfriend. Her boyfriend is also in college, as is Bess's boyfriend, who's actually a sophomore in college. So at this point I'm thinking like, this is so confusing. We're dealing with high school characters, but this is definitely being targeted at a middle grade audience, and so I think it's just confusion. There's so much just confusion going on with all of this. I'm just confused. It's just confusion. I did give this one 3 stars. It was better written, like I said, than the first one, but not, it's only like a step up. Like it's not, I don't know, I'm just reading through them because I do want to see like how the story works together collectively. And I'm also starting to reread the original Nancy Drew books, and so I'm kind of trying to figure out like how Nancy's character is different in those stories compared to these stories. And so I did put the next one on hold, and I put the first one in the original series on hold. So we'll see how that process is gonna go. I also ended up finishing, did I never even mark this book as currently reading? That's wild if I never even marked the book as currently reading, which I think I didn't. You know what? I that's wild, y'all. I never even marked the book as currently reading on Goodreads. This is why I never remember what I've read, because I never mark anything as currently reading. I mean, it's fine because I don't necessarily have to track everything. I think I'm getting to the phase where like if I'm reading, I'm just reading it. I'm not like super concerned about 100% tracking, but it does help with work when I'm tracking. And of course, Goodreads just crap. You know what? Goodreads is just getting on my nerves at this point. Like, the Goodreads Choice Award nominees were announced yesterday, and the categories completely irritated me. Like, I'm over Goodreads. And I probably should stop talking because my battery is about to die. But I did also end up finishing Adia Kelbara in the Circle of Shamans. This was really, really great. This is based off of West African mythology. It is about a main character by the name of Adia. I think I talked about this maybe a little bit, I'm hoping I did, where she has these special gifts, and she is told that by having these special gifts she's actually a curse, and so she tries to hide her special gifts, and she gets this apprenticeship at this school that is supposed to be the school for shamans, but it's weird because nobody at the school actually has powers. It's so strange. And so she's hoping that she can interact with a shaman to help her kind of get rid of her abilities, but as she spends more time at the school, she realizes that there's some kind of sinister things going on, especially like with the emperor, and the emperor is not really who everybody thinks the emperor is, and so there is some like revelations about who she really is as a person. She has a best friend that has gone missing and has been presumed dead at the time of the start of the novel, and so she's kind of dealing with that grief, that burden of losing the only friend that she had. And she does make more friends along the way, both human and also mythical, or yeah, I would say mythical beings. And it was really, really fun to read this book. I got through it rather quickly, but not like rushing to finish it. It was enjoyable. And I'm very, very excited to see like where the next book is going to go, because this one definitely ends on a cliffhanger where we get some resolution, but the resolution comes more in the form of revelations about her as a character. So we get a solution in like understanding her identity, but it doesn't tie up the plot. So I'm thinking that there's at least going to be a second book, because of the fact that we don't really get a solid conclusion, to which I'm glad we didn't, because the way that ending came about was extremely fascinating, and I'm definitely looking forward to see what else C. Hendricks what the author is going to provide for us in the next one. But that's a good middle grade fantasy book that I ended up picking up. After finishing, and I said Adia, it's Adia. I know, is it A? Yeah, Adia, Kelbara. I'm a mess, but definitely a good book. Giving that one 4 stars. Didn't mark it as currently reading, but I did finish that. I haven't really been reading much of anything else. Like, my plans are to definitely start the 100 Years War on Palestine, and then also Freedom is a Constant Struggle. I do plan to start those two. My next lineup for my audiobook, though, I don't know, because I have a couple that are due within the next week or so. Some that don't necessarily have to be renewed, but I do have A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Kimmerer, which is the second book in a Curse So Dark and Lovely series. I may start that one because it's due back in 6 days. But then I wanted to start Jen Ferguson's Those Pink Mountain Nights. This is a indigenous teen fiction book, and I was looking forward to reading that one. And then I also still have Mr. Lemoncello's Library Olympics, which is the second book in the Mr. Lemoncello's library series. So I may pick that one up as well. I have a whole bunch of stuff that I could possibly read. I think it's just my Libby is going to depend upon my mood. So we'll see. And I think I have some holes. No, I don't have anything coming in anytime soon. Everything is, I say that now, and that's not true, but everything is not supposed to come in for like another 2 to 13 weeks. So hopefully everything does not come in at one time. I'm hoping everything doesn't come at one time. But that's all I have in terms of an update, y'all. It's been a heck of a week already. But yeah, next time I have an update, I will jump in. I'm sorry that this is such a dump of an update, but it's a dump of an update, and I apologize. All right, y'all, I will check in later. I hate to close this vlog out this way. I am not feeling well at all, just mentally, emotionally, and physically. I'm not in a good spot. You know, I don't lie to y'all about that, and so I'm just gonna be very, very honest right now. I am struggling a tad right now, and so I didn't want to delay getting this vlog out because it's already been 2 weeks, and I did want to share kind of like some final thoughts on some things, but it won't be a particularly long wrap up. So one of the things that I did start reading is Freedom is a Constant Struggle by Angela Davis. I ended up reading the first interview, which was an email interview that was done in 2014, and it's called Progressive Struggles Against Insidious Capitalistic Individualism. I think that this is where we really get that groundwork of where Angela Davis stands in terms of us recognizing each other's struggles, understanding that all forms of oppression are interconnected in some way, and that living in a capitalistic society teaches us individualism, which is, it goes against everything that we should be doing in order to dismantle these systems of oppression that do exist in the world. I like right off the bat, she immediately starts talking about her experience being in Palestine, and how it is very much so connected to Black liberation. When you think about the connections between Israel and the United States and the training of police, and so that police brutality that we see here in the Black community in the US is very much so connected to the IOF and the way that they treat and harm Palestinians. So there's that interesting connection, which I think is very indicative of what we've definitely been seeing. What a lot of people share, what they get out of this is that we can't be free until all of us are free, that whole idea. So I do like that. Just her mind, getting a taste of her mind is just absolutely fascinating. It is fascinating. There was a couple of things that I think I had to look up because I wanted to know more about them. She talks a little bit about the Group 4 security, which I had heard G4S before, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know what G4S was. And looking into what G4S is insane. It is insane. I did not know. And this first line explicitly says, like, under the Gaza security and the security state, G4S has insinuated itself into the lives of all people all over the world, especially in Britain, United States, and Palestine. Like, I did not know that. So I learned a lot. Even from the short section, I ended up learning quite a bit. So I think in this upcoming week, I'm definitely going to shift over to chapter 2, which is Ferguson reminds us of the importance of a global context, which is going to be interesting. This is an interview by Frank Barat in Brussels, September 21st, my birthday, 2014. So I did end up starting this. I also started a number of other things. Don't ask me why. I did want to get, I always mispronounce her name. And there was it wasn't necessarily a pronunciation guide, but it was. So this is Sejal Sinha, Battle Superstorms. This, I don't even know if y'all saw it, the way I was holding this. If you could actually see the cover of this book. There you go. Now it's focusing. Okay, so this is Sejal Sinha the Battle Superstorms. This is a short children's fantasy, which is often hard to find. Shorter children's fantasy. This is a little over 100 pages. It's about Sejal and her cousin who often play pretend, and her cousin is Mira is not, she's getting older, and she's like, I don't want to do the things that you do to play pretend. So they're actually in the middle of a song. This takes place during Diwali, and there's a hurricane that's coming, and so they're trying to kind of hunker down and prepare for the hurricane, and it's ruining their Diwali situations, or their Diwali celebrations. I don't know why I said situations. Their Diwali celebrations. And I'm trying to say that it gets them into a situation where they're going to pretend to, or possibly there could be some magical element. She has a talking stuffed leopard, I believe. Or maybe it's a tiger or a cheetah. I think it's a stuffed cheetah. I think it's a cheetah. That's a cheetah on the cover, right? I think that's a cheetah. I think it's a cheetah. So she has that stuffed cheetah and that supposedly talks to her. So I'm not really far into this. It probably will not take me long to finish this at all. I'm probably about 20-25 pages into it, but like I said, it's only 100. It's very short. I didn't know I was going to start that. I just randomly started that because it was something to start. It was something to start. I also started my reread of Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. Why? I don't really know. I think because I'm hoping to start the final book in the Diviner soon. We're just waiting on Alana to finish it up, but I decided to start this because this series is interconnected into the Diviners, not in a huge way, but there is an Easter egg that happens in the Diviners that is an ode back to the Gemma Doyle trilogy. There is some older language in this, some things that I think do not hold up here in 2023. This book was originally published in 2003. It is definitely showing that it was originally published in 2003, but it focuses on a girl named Gemma Doyle who is living in India with her mother, and then something happens to her mother, and she ends up having to go to this boarding school in England. And she's at this boarding school. She does not really fit in. She doesn't get along with the girls very well, but she has this ability, she sees visions, and her visions are, she doesn't know how to control them. That's what I'm saying. Her visions, she doesn't know how to control her visions. She's not really sure where they come from, and so that's kind of where I'm at right now, where she's trying to get acclimated to this boarding school and figure out what secret abilities she has, also while mourning the death of her mother at the same time. So she has a lot that's going on. I finished a couple of other things randomly that I didn't talk about. One being A New Friend, which is Mermaid Days #3 by Kyle Lukoff. This was a random pickup for me that I just wanted to just read. It's one of those easy step beginner readers, and I decided that, I'm exploring lots of children's lit this year. This one was okay. It was a 3-star read for me. I didn't it's not the best one that I've read, but it's good for younger readers who are into all things under the sea. So it's about an octopus and a mermaid that are friends, and they end up, what is this thing called? It is a mantis shrimp, which I actually had never heard of, the way that they could create sound waves in the ocean that are strong enough to break glass. Did not know that. So they find a baby mantis shrimp, and they're trying to help the baby get back to his family. So, nothing, I don't expect much, but I think that this story wasn't as engaging as some other beginner readers that I've picked up. I also ended up reading Welcome to the Island, which is the first book in the Isle of Adventure series by Della Costa. This is about a young girl named Isla, who's a young girl, and she is kind of like Dr. Doodle-esque, where she can talk to animals. She lives on this island. There's not a lot of kids around her, so she gets excited when one of the houses that's next to her is empty and another girl moves in, but she has a little trouble adjusting to making this friendship. So she has a special ability, and she wants to impress this friend, a potential friend that's coming from the city, and she wants to help her enjoy the island. And of course, some awkward things happen, as do in the beginning of a lot of friendships, and they just kind of go from there, which I think was cute. It was the perfect balance, I think, of pictures and text, and definitely it's a good stepping stone to those who are getting into chapter books but still need just a little bit more guidance and need that balance of text and illustrations. I think this is a really, really good series, and Simon & Schuster has started putting out these Little Simon. They have a line called Little Simon, which has a lot of these interesting intro type of chapter books that you would often see with publishers like Scholastic. I also finished, which I need to mark it as read, but I also ended up finishing the third book, I believe, in the Mercy Watson series, I have to check because, you know, do I keep up with all the Mercy Watsons I read? Absolutely not. Yeah, so I read Mercy Watson Goes for a Ride. I just didn't mark it as read in Goodreads because of course I didn't. So I read the third book, which was Mercy Watson Fights Crime, and this basically is there's a burglar that comes into the Watson household and Mercy unintentionally fights crime. All Mercy cares about is her toast and butter, child. She don't care about nothing else. But of course, as usual, I enjoyed the series. I mean, I enjoyed the book. I really enjoyed the artwork. The artwork is good. I only have, I think, maybe, I'm trying to think how many are in this series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 in the series, but there's a new one that's supposed to be coming out in December, and it's Mercy Watson is Missing. So hopefully I get to that one. I'm not going to get to all these by the end of the year, I don't think. But hopefully I can make my way through the series by early part of next year. I don't know why I was saying like I was going to make it to, you know, to any, I don't know, y'all. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm tired. I don't feel well. This is chaos. All right, y'all. So let me know in the comment box below what you've been reading for the past 2 weeks, like what you've been reading so far in November. I'm hoping to get some reading done this week. I get a little bit of a vacation this week for Thanksgiving, and so I'm hoping that, yeah, I'm hoping that I can get some reading done, just some relaxation, kind of like building myself back up. I think I just need that space. So we'll see how everything goes. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. Yeah, if you're looking to follow me on social media, or if you're looking for ways to support the channel, all the links will be down in the description box below. And I'll be back with another video soon. Bye. I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down. All